Hey everybody, Jay Barino here, welcome back, continuing the Metroid Prime Trilogy. I suppose continuing is a strong word, considering we have just started. We only finished the tutorial, and we're getting into the real game proper now. We've landed on Talon Overworld, which is one of the 5 major areas of the game that are all sort of interconnected with each other. And that's when I talk about kind of planning an optimal route to reduce backtracking and utilizing all of the interconnectedness to our advantage. Also, that purple screen always happens when you go from the menu into the game, so get used to it. I hope it's a staple of this series by the end of it. Alright, so let's get into it. I hope I did a good job introducing this series, and we're just going to be scanning every new enemy we come across. Like I said, I'm not going to read all of these. I'm just going to read like the mini-bosses and bosses as we continue. But in terms of like the lore scans, I think I will go ahead and read those aloud. In fact, I don't think I've ever really taken the time to read those myself, so today's the day. And just a reminder, if this is the first episode you're jumping into, there is going to be some stuttering as I am playing this game on an emulator. But that's the price we pay for playing in 2020 on PC with extremely high resolution and frame rate compared to the original release. Those little blue guys, they're called zoomers. They just wander around and attack you with TikTok dances. The first place we're going is to Chozo Ruins. Now, it's hard to say if I would consider this like an intro playthrough, because if you're not familiar with the game, it's going to appear like it's very easy and not maze-like, because I have a general sense of exactly where to go to get what. Like I said, I've planned it out. I have a spreadsheet that has my route planned out for me. But if you were playing this by yourself for the first time, you might have explored Talon Ruins, Talon Overworld a little bit for yourself early on. Instead, we just blazed right into Chozo Ruins. Seismic disturbance at Ruins site. Show it to me, hint system. Let's see it. Alright, and here's our first Chozo lore scan. Chozo script translated. The history of the Chozo stretches back to the ancient times, so far into the fog of the past that we know not where our ancestors came from. One thing is clear, however. The Chozo who colonized Talon 4 made a conscious choice to eschew a civilization of advanced technology. We Chozo chose to live in harmony with nature, guided by the providence of the universe. We believe we will spend peaceful days here and plan to leave our words from time to time. So, the Chozo actually, I believe, raised Samus, and our suit was made by them. So that's why a lot of the upgrades we get just work with our suit. Because this was indeed a Chozo world. So here's our main plaza. Eventually we're going to get to the point where we're going to start running by a lot of enemies, but for now, you know, we'll take the time to experience some of the combat the game has to offer. But the game is much more about... It's more adventure. I was going to say action than adventure. It's more adventure than action. It's definitely an action-adventure game, but certainly more about exploration. Which is funny because this playthrough is going to be very much... kind of negating the adventure side in the sense that I know where to go. But as one of my favorite games of all time, I really just wanted to get my, the patented Jay Barino optimal playthrough onto my channel. Similar to Donkey Kong Country, similar to StarCraft 2, similar to StarCraft Remastered, etc., etc. Some of my favorite games of all time, you know? Many long years have passed since we Chozo first took root in this land. The passage of time has always been a source of fascination to us. It is the belief of many Chozo sages that the truths of the universe hide within the tumbling currents of time's flow. Even as we search for answers there, however, we find illumination in other unexpected places. We know not how the ability has come to us, but recently many Chozo have begun to sense things beyond the realm of ordinary perception. Strange sights and inexplicable sensations flood our minds, filling us with visions. We take this growing ability to be a sign of our burgeoning harmonization with the infinite. Perhaps, finally, the universe's secrets are becoming known to us. So the Chozo were kind of like a progenitor race of the galaxy. I'm not an expert on Metroid lore, by the way, so feel free to correct me in the comments if you'd like. And the Chozo created the titular Metroids. And now the Chozo are gone, and the Metroids are left over, and the Space Pirates are basically trying to utilize the Metroids for nefarious purposes. Because the Metroids can just suck the life energy out of basically anything. So they're kind of like a miniature super weapon in that way, and they can evolve and mutate in crazy ways. So, there's really no need to be saving all the time, but I am going to be saving frequently just to avoid losing time if there's any crashing. Again, I could also use save states if I wanted to. We'll just use the in-game saving. Okay, I've scanned the war wasps. I can't destroy the war wasp hives, so I'm just going to move on. So in terms of what we're looking to do right now, I am looking to pick up some missiles. Okay, that's our middling level energy pickup. Again, once we get through, I would say, like, the first third, maybe half of the game, the amount of scanning that I'm going to be doing is going to decrease significantly, because we will have scanned a lot of the existing enemies. We won't have to keep doing it. There it is. Okay, so it's our first mini-boss in the Chozo Ruins. It's the Hive Mecha, security unit programmed to work with predatory Hive dwellers. A design flaw makes the shielding on Hive Mecha weak around the access ports. These units are second-generation combat drones, able to interface with organic units at a higher level. They train shelter and work with Hive-dwelling predators. Unarmed, they rely on their Hive beasts to handle any threats. Now, we already scanned some war wasps, but they're unique war wasps that go along with some of the mini-bosses. Airborne predator circles its prey and then strikes. So we just gotta kill the charging wasps, the ram war wasps. So for example, if you don't scan the Hive Mecha here, or the ram war wasps, you lose the opportunity to do so, and therefore are locked out of getting 100% of the logbook for the rest of the game. Which is, I mean, if you're not a completionist, really doesn't matter. But again, for the purpose of this playthrough, I am going to be getting them all. I won't release the videos unless I've got them. So it's not going to be one of those things where I make it to the end of the game and realize I missed one thing. All right, this playthrough is going to have it all. If you're seeing this video, it means I've completed the playthrough, I've completed the recordings, and I've gotten everything along the way. Okay. You usually like kill maybe 2, maybe 3 in one cycle before they stop. And I'm utilizing lock-on. You don't have to lock on, but it makes things a little easier. Whoa. Okay. There we go. Hive Mecha defeated. So there's our missile launcher. And then let's make sure to scan this door. There are only a limited number of these in the whole game before you destroy them all, but these are just missile doors. You need to use a missile to destroy them one time. So if you wanted to be super optimal with time, we could have turned around and not collected this energy tank, because we're going to be coming back this way much later. But going forward into one room to collect an energy tank, to me, you know, again, I talk about like an optimal run through. You know, we're going to be saving time for, like, backtracking, but something like that, which feels kind of like a natural item pickup, just to kind of poke forward, realize you can't continue, but there is an energy tank or a missile upgrade. That's the kind of stuff that I've routed into my path through the game. Again, because it's not really taking a lot of time. And again, I don't want to over-optimize in that way. So now that we have missiles, we can destroy the war wasp hives, and they won't be able to respawn. Okay, and then we can grab our first missile expansion. Very nice. Again, that's another one where, like, I didn't have to pick that up here. But we're going through the room. I've got the requirements to pick it up, so I did it. And here's our map for Chozo Ruins. And most of the areas are split into 2 parts, like an early part and a later part, so this is the map for the early part of Chozo Ruins, basically. Okay, so you can see, this was the main plaza that we came in. There were multiple ways through it, but I knew which way to go to get the missile expansion. If we would have tried to go through any of the other doors, we would have been met with with dead ends that we couldn't progress through. So just something to keep in mind. Okay. So let's head back. And now that we have the missiles, again, if we would have explored earlier, we would have found that there was a missile blast shield door in the main plaza. And now that we have the missiles, that's where we can go. If we were to go through the other accessible doorway in the plaza, we would have realized that we couldn't progress through the hallway because of a fallen branch. And again, I'm kind of at the point where, you know, once we experience some of the combat, we can start running by stuff. And these scarabs, it's not like these scarabs really do that much damage. By the way, if it's unclear, that energy tank added that little square above my energy up there. That doubled the amount of total health that I had. Okay. I'm not sure if there's supposed to be boss music playing. Again, very rarely on the emulator. I've noticed sometimes music doesn't start playing. There's music playing, but not like boss encounter music. Yeah, there's supposed to be boss encounter music here, but that's alright. Let's go ahead and scan this guy. Plated beetle, well-armored burrowing insect, vulnerable only in the rear abdomen. Creature's thick cranial plating can repel frontal attacks. This gives it an advantage in combat, allowing it to make ramming attacks, only surfacing when it detects vibrations above. It then maneuvers itself so as to always face its rival, keeping its exposed abdomen protected. So we could do kind of our little side hop here to avoid this. As the in-game hint is telling us we were a little too close to the wall there, so we didn't have much room to recover and hit it with a missile. Again, there's supposed to be boss music, but it's fine because this is gonna be over very quickly. There we go. We scanned our plated beetle. That's just going to show up as a normal enemy in the plaza now from now on. I hope I don't run into missing music too much. I think the music's really important to this game. Okay, and then we can, now that we have the Morph Ball, we can exit the room. The Morph Ball also allows us to move a little bit faster in certain circumstances, so we can just zip zoom our way like this. Alright, what's next? We're gonna make our way to pick up the charge beam. The charge beam, very important, just allows us to do a fully charged beam does more damage than a missile, but doesn't home. At least the power beam, charged up beam, doesn't home. So I can shoot these before they spawn any wasps in the first place. Okay, this is the third pathway out of the main area. Now that we have Morph Ball, we can roll under the trees. The surges of negative energy brought by the meteor far exceed our expectation. We Chozo have yet to find a way to rid ourselves of the great poison. All we can do now is seal it away and wait for the day when a power to purify the poison appears. However, it is already impossible to collect all the pieces of the great poison, as it has already spread, seeping into the planet and hardening. So just try to understand what has happened here. All the water is toxic, right? If we touch it, we would take damage. So that way actually leads to an area that we cannot progress through. Actually, we won't be able to progress through for a really long time. Okay, grab those suicidal shriek bats. Again, we've got a lot to scan at this point in the game, but the amount that we have to scan will decrease dramatically once we hit a certain point. where we would have scanned most of the enemies and we don't have to keep scanning new ones. Research scans are easily missable also. You'll see what those are as we move on soon. So there's a save station here. Actually, I'll hit that on the way back. I scanned the mushrooms, right? Yeah. Okay, next missile expansion. And there are actually a lot of upgrades sort of hidden in places that you might not even notice right now, but once we come back through this area with more equipment later, you'll see them as we move forward. So this room can be a little deceptive because what you're going to do is you're going to climb the room and then realize that you're going to need to come back down and scan these things. So I know that we're going to have to do that. Okay. Extra big missile pickup. So I'm just going to do that before we climb the room in the first place. Because then otherwise we would have, again, climbed back up, come back down, climb back up again. We can skip those first two steps, scan them all first, and then head up to the top. And there are a couple areas like that. Again, the way that, again, the adventure exploration part of this is meant to force you to explore to do exactly that. It's kind of part of the reward structure of, like, you know, notice something, discover it, execute a strategy to act on it, get reward for doing so. Okay, and there's our charge beam and some more hot lore. Shiny wall lore. Disaster struck suddenly. We had a vague, dark foreboding, and it became a truth. A meteor appeared from nowhere, casting a dark shadow of debris over the land with the violence of its impact. Its destructive force spent, the fallen star burned itself out rapidly, and the incident should have faded into memory. But the meteor brought with it corruption. A great poison burst forth into the land, a strange energy that clawed at natural life with a ferocity. That strange negative energy emitted from the meteor expanded to encompass Talon 4 in a night, as a spider weaves a web. So now that we have this, usually when you get an item, something happens to, like, allow you to show off the power of it. So what it's supposed to show is, rather than just shooting these things to make them stunned, you can charge up and kill them. Alternatively, you know, we just run by them quickly, and it doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, we didn't even have to stun them. We could have just taken the damage, and it would have been fine. But again, we were given an opportunity to show off our new power. You may have noticed some stuff on the map there that would have allowed us to continue in that way through an unexplored area, but we don't have the equipment yet to gather what we would want if we were to go that way. Okay, let's just go ahead and hit the save station. We're going to make our way to our next mini-boss here for our next power-up. The amount of power-ups you get here right at the beginning hits you kind of rapid-fire. You don't have to go very far to get them all. But that's also, again, because I know the correct path to take. I think, you know, a lot of new players may have tried getting through the missile door much earlier. They may have tried to go through the fallen tree branches earlier, etc., etc. And that's kind of the part of the rewarding exploration. So that's why I keep talking like, well, it's kind of a, you know, it's going to be like an optimal walkthrough, but it's almost tailored for people that know the game already, because, you know, you're not really experiencing the fun that I think a new player might. There's one more, like, large missile amount pickup. So I think you can pick it up in, like, 3, 5, and 7, maybe, and we've scanned the 3 and we've scanned the 5. I'm going to go ahead and scan this locked door now. This one's kind of easy to miss. There are only a certain number of rooms that have locked doors in them, so better to get that research done early. Scan this big boy. Oops. Incinerator drone, programmed for high-temperature waste disposal. Device schematics indicate a high risk of malfunction when internal power core is damaged. Unit has minimal combat programming, but can defend itself if necessary. This drone's intense heat blasts compensate for its lack of battle prowess. Why this is here, who knows? But let's just not get shot by fire. That's it. Occasionally it'll expose its weak point for whatever reason, because it thinks that's a good idea. And then, oh look, another War Wasp variant. Barbed War Wasp, airborne insect with the ability to launch its stinger at its prey. So what we're doing is we're causing the Incinerator drone to become damaged and then shoot the Wasp Hive, which is aggravating the Wasps to then come down and attack us. So we have to deal with the Wasps, but then also the Incinerator drone. Whoop! Jump over it. Go under it. I mean, I'm not too concerned about taking too much damage here. It's fine. Maybe one more. Okay, get another Morph Ball upgrade. Morph Ball Bomb. Acquired. So first things first, we should use that in this room. Very nice. So coming up here is another instance where if you wanted to be super optimal in terms of time, you would not do what I'm about to do, which is we're going to go out of our way to collect an energy tank. But again, it's sort of one of those things where it's positioned in such a way that it dead ends to show like, hey, you don't have this equipment yet, but here's an energy tank as a reward for completing the mini-boss that you just completed. So, actually, I went slightly the wrong way. Now that we have the Morph Ball Bomb, we can go ahead and kill that gentleman. Get some research here by scanning the Morph Ball Bomb slot. And also, so normally you use the Morph Ball to lay a bomb, which allows you to get some height there as the Morph Ball. That was with the original game. With the Trilogy version of the game, they have allowed you to have something called Spring Ball, which basically just lets you jump as the Morph Ball without having to lay the bomb. So like that. Just a little quality of life thing. I guess this is just the puzzle music. I don't know. Don't make me laugh, Shriek Bats. Get out of here. Don't let the countdown timer make you anxious. So again, once we go through this door, we're going to realize we're still missing some necessary equipment to proceed, but we'll still get the energy tank. If we wanted to truly optimize on time and not have to backtrack this, we still would have had to do the bomb slot semi-puzzle there. But, you know, going through this path now is going to cause us to have to backtrack just a little bit. But again, when I think about, like, the optimal sort of pathing, I think more about, like, again, what feels like natural to the game, but also what won't result in too much backtracking, if that makes sense. Sort of Jay Barrino's executive decision-making on how the routing will be. Plus, energy tank is always welcome, let me tell you. Spring Ball can be a little finicky, I'm just going to tell you now. The Morph Ball was designed to be used with a joystick, so I'm using WASD and mouse, so there's going to be some times when I might struggle a bit with the Morph Ball a little bit. So now we have to ask, what was the last upgrade that we got? We got the Morph Ball Bombs. What can we do with Morph Ball Bombs? Technically, we could have bombed our way through the floor here and avoided those eye lasers, but it's still faster to just run through. And now that we have the... Well, I just jumped right into the poison. But now that we have the Morph Ball Bombs, that will actually allow us to progress through the large central room, which is here, the big corrupted tree. Because the very top of the room has debris in front of it, and that actually is going to lead to the first boss. This is another room where there are scannable things, so we're going to scan those before we climb so that we don't have to come back down to do it later. Whoa! Fallen into the poison. Okay, so there, I thought for some reason there was one on front of the tree. That is not true. There's just that one at the bottom underneath the venom weed. By the way, that venom weed for some reason is not scannable, but there's more further up in this room, so don't worry about it. It's the next symbol. Let's get rid of these hives before the wasps spawn. So this is where you would need the Morph Ball Bombs to proceed if we would have tried to climb this room earlier. Our next symbol. Fortunately, the wasps spawned, but that doesn't matter. Okay, we can scan this venom weed.
Recorded to Logbook.
You're supposed to shoot this. I had gone into Morph Ball mode before I for some reason. It's fine. Amateur hour here. And we made it to the top. There's our last symbol. And just to make sure that you didn't glitch your way up here, hey, you gotta make sure you got Morph Ball Bombs. Got it. Make sure you got missiles, too. There we go. Got it. Even though, you know, after 18 years, people have truly figured out how to sequence break the crap out of this game, even without glitching themselves out of bounds, I think. So we are on our way to our first area boss proper. I guess you could count the Parasite Queen as the first one. This is the second area boss proper, I suppose. Go. Ultra Energy we could scan for research. I think that's all the energy scans. We're missing one missile scan. Okay, so there are actually two boss scans here. So make sure you get them both. You want to scan Flaahgra itself. This mutant plant is the source of toxic water in the ruins. Flaahgra's growth cycle has been radically accelerated as a result. It requires near constant exposure to solar energy to remain active. This exposure has made Flaahgra's outer shell thick and durable. Its lower root system is unprotected and vulnerable, however. Exploit this flaw when possible. Concentrated weapon fire can daze it for short periods. So you want to scan the tentacle. One of Flaahgra's tentacles fills this narrow drainage channel. Analysis indicates that Flaahgra's central nervous system is located at the base of this structure. So we have to basically remove Flaahgra's ability to photosynthesize, which stuns the crap out of it, exposing its soft underbelly. Okay, so what I like to do is stun Flaahgra, because if you don't, what Flaahgra will end up doing is knocking the mirrors back into place. So it's good to it's good to keep it stunned so that it won't knock the mirrors back into place, so that you have time to get back to the other mirrors. So we'll just try to keep Flaahgra perpetually stunned for that reason. So yeah, I was right there. I was like trying to make sure that I could keep it stunned because it looked like it was about to do the animation. Let's see if we can get to this last one before it kicks it back into place. Perfect. This is much more of a puzzle-solving boss. I mean, I like the concept because, like, obviously it deals damage to you. You can do your best to avoid damage. You can shoot it to stun it in a very traditional, you know, shoot it till it dies type way. But to actually kill it, you have to do these morph ball shenanigans. Nice. We'll just keep making our way around, and as soon as he's not stunned, we'll make sure to just sort of chain stun it. Again, it's sort of recovering, and it's like a recovery animation now. Okay, and the last tentacle's way over here. Oh dear. That can happen. Alright, we got our various suit back, also known as the cool shoulder pads. Dangerous areas of heat are now accessible. So there was actually a room further back where I had talked about, like, hey, we can't continue, so we're not going to bother going that way. It would have been an extreme heat area. Also, as soon as you get the various suit, the game likes to very casually remind you that, hey, you still move really slow in water, asshole. And that's a tactic that the game uses a lot, which is, hey, you got a new item, think of all the possibilities. But also, let's make sure to remind you that there are still many things that you still cannot do, and there's plenty of things for you still to collect. Same with that enemy. We can't deal damage to it. Everything we do reflects off of it. Let's see, maybe we could scan one of these. Nah. Okay, so let's just go ahead and fall. Hit our shiny wall lure. The cries of the dying land echo in our ears as we Chozo watch the great poison seep ever further into the living pulse of the planet. The dark energy sinks into the trees and waters, devouring all life. Peaceful beasts die by the thousands. Some creatures survive, but their forms grow as twisted and evil as the force that fell from the sky, sort of justifying in-universe why everything is hostile to us. Many of these mutated monstrosities remain small enough to do little harm, but others grow enormous and threaten our very existence. One such beast defiles our sacred fountain, disgorging poison from its foul form. So that's talking about Flaahgra. replacing pure flowing water with cascades of creeping death. Even in the face of such horror, we Chozo do not turn in fear. We are all that stands in the way of this great poison, and it is our duty to contain it. And what I find interesting about that is it's basically the Chozo saying that the great poison is actually not the poison that we see in the Chozo ruins. The great poison is actually, well, I don't want to spoil it per se, but we've already read about it. It's basically that radioactive phazon material. In this kind of time, if you're reading the lore, you think, oh, it must be the poison water. But no, they're talking about how the poison is, the great poison, it caused the Flaahgra corruption. So this is another instance where technically I'm not being very optimal here. I'm going to collect some upgrades and then backtrack a little bit. And we're going to take the elevator that we actually passed up. Okay, so here's where we get to show off my sick double bomb jump skills. Get that little bit of extra height as the morph ball. You can't use the spring ball to get up that high, so you've got a double bomb jump, which just requires some timing. And again, if we wanted to be, like, ultra optimal, you know, I would have done this later in, like, one, like, fell swoop of cleaning up the Chozo ruins. But this is going to lead to an energy tank and a dead end, sort of, so that's why I feel like it's appropriate to do this now.
Recorded to Logbook.
The future is a vague thing, ever-changing and always in doubt. Even if we Chozo could gain the ability to foresee the future, it would be a hollow gift, for we could never hope to control what is yet to occur. The fountain is an example of this. The day may come when its water dries up, and there's nothing we could do to stop such a tragedy. But we do know this. Unlike the uncertain flow of water, the power of our will is strong and enduring. The will of the Chozo will never run dry. Except now you're all dead. Okay, and you'll notice we're back in the main plaza now. So, if you remember, the very first energy tank we picked up was after the Hive Mecha, and the Hive Mecha dead-ended into a Morph Ball tunnel, and we didn't have the Morph Ball at the time. If we were to continue that circle through that area, that Morph Ball tunnel would lead us back to the elevator after Flaahgra. So now that we have all those tools, we actually have a very easy path through a lot of the Chozo ruins in general. So I just turned around. I could have taken the path back through the Hive Mecha either way. But the ultimate result would have been us ending up back here at the Magmoor Caverns elevator. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit the save station at the beginning of Magmoor, and that will be a great spot to end today's video, because we pretty much completed the entire first half of Chozo ruins. Magmoor Caverns is extreme heat. It is possible to get to this elevator and enter Magmoor before killing Flaahgra, but you wouldn't be able to progress because, again, the heat would kill you pretty much instantly. Alrighty, very nice. We're looking good. We're on track. Appreciate everyone watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.